Hey guys, this is Emperador Maximiliano. Do a short video here, just kind of a daily recap, trade review type of video, just to show how I approached the day, how I traded the price action today, what tools and data that I use as a part of my strategy to make that happen. Only took one trade today, but it was a very, very nice trade. So more than enough on that, more than happy with the results from today. And let's take a look at it. First thing that I did this morning was kind of look at the overall picture. So um, let's go over to the ES chart because I really want to show you guys this. Um, we had on the daily chart with ES 6 red days in a row. So a lot of indicators, RSI, whatever people like to use, a lot of things were showing that we were oversold. I like to put some data behind that as well. So I came over here to Edgeful and went to the futures section, looked at ES. That's what I was looking at just as the broader market picture here. And I went back 3 years on this report, and the most red days we've had in a row are 6, and that's for the last 3 years. So that just happened to match up perfectly with the scenario we had this morning coming into today with 6 consecutive red days. So going into today, not only do we think like we'll probably get some type of relief bounce, counter trend type of trade, but I have the data to put behind it here as well with this report from Edgeful. Now you can scroll down and get even more detailed here as well. They have a breakdown, even a video on how you can use that that report. This right here was what I was looking at, the most red days in a row for the last 3 years, being 6. So I'm expecting the probabilities, right? So we trade off of probabilities. So I'm expecting today to be at least a green close. That doesn't mean we just rip off the open. That means that I think we are going to end up with a green day. So that's kind of my overall thought process going into today. Now, we did gap up over the weekend, and you can actually see it. Let me get back to my 5-minute chart where I like to live throughout the day. We did over here at Globex Open, we did have a gap up. We did leave a little gap that we never did fill. So obviously a gap up, I like to see that fill. I was looking for that. I actually didn't take the trade on the first gap fill here because I was watching QQQ as well. And just to show the kind of the morning setup going into today, we had a gap up here. So my highest risk to reward for my personal strategy and setup, I'm looking for this gap to fill. For a reaction, if we start coming down towards this gap, especially if once we got into the gap here, I'm looking for that gap to fill. SPX also had a very similar look to it. We had a gap up. We fell back down into that gap. You can kind of see the action here. Boom, boom. We come in. We're basically filling the gap here at a pretty key spot. So both of those happened at the same time. And that's where I was starting to look to get into a long trade after a gap up, filling that gap, and see if we could fill that gap and then go, which we did today. So that worked out very nicely. To get started, though, once we open, this is where we open the day up right here. And when we start a day out, especially on a Monday, I don't like to just jump into anything. I like to let the weekend action settle down a little bit. Let my orbs get set, which is, for me, that's the first 30 minutes. I'm going to show you guys that, and then I'm going to show you guys kind of how I got into the trade, what I was seeing, and then how I managed that trade as well. So first thing I want to do is let my first 30 minutes, let my orb get set, kind of get familiar with what the price action's looking like it wants to do. There's a very nice indicator from Edgeful for the ORB, for the orb strategy. Now, like I said, I use the first 30 minutes, so I have that calculated in here. I have it set to the first 30 minutes. Some people use the first 15 minutes. I prefer the first 30, so that's what I have set here on this indicator. And instead of doing it like I used to, where I would go in and manually draw, okay, here's my first 30-minute window, here's my high, here's my low, and manually use the drawing tool to draw it out. This indicator, just as soon as it happens, automatically puts it on there for me. So I love that, really love this indicator from Edgeful. But anyways, you see we opened up, we established our orb, we breached the lower orb, and we did come down, as I mentioned a while ago. We filled this gap right here and had a nice bounce. I mean, this right here, this low was a nice bounce. Could have got a nice scalp trade out of there. Or been long there, but like I said, I was watching QQQ and SPX as well, looking for those gaps to fill, and this right here lined up perfectly with that. Some more confluence as well. You guys know I love to use the fib retracement, so we look at the low here to the high, and look where we supported perfectly on the 786 fib. So not only do we have the gap fill on QQQ down here, I also have another layer of confluence. So when I look for my top setups, my best setups, I'm looking for as many layers of confluence as possible. So I had that here as well. Another way that you could look at this on the fib retracement is also just going back to Friday's range and noticing right at open, right at our orb high, which we'll talk about again later. Right at our orb high was the halfway retrace. So there is your halfway retrace point as well. Let me take this back off the chart. Another key indicator that I use all the time, which there's a bunch of different scripts out there, but Edgeful has this one as well, so I use theirs. I love these pivot points. You almost always see reactions off of these. Let me add in 1 day back here so you can see the pivot points. This was the a key pivot point right here for today, and then you can see R1 up here basically at the high of day. So some very important levels there. You always see reactions off these pivot points. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. So I do have this indicator pretty much always on my chart whenever I'm looking at NQ throughout the day. It works with QQQ, it works with SPY, pretty much all of your other stocks as well, but I mostly trade NQ, so we'll stick to that subject. Let's see, let me turn these back off and let's look at where I got long. So I got long right here on the gap fill. Now remember on QQQ this was 414 and it all lined up really well. So I had a full position. For me that is 3 contracts, and as soon as we popped up I'm looking to start trimming those. A lot of you know I do use the EMA 9 and 21, so let's get a good visual here. So when I get long down here, the first place I'm looking for is this EMA 9 to take a trim. The EMA 21 could be a next spot. Also you have the VWAP with the outer bands that I use a lot, that I'll toggle that on and off so you guys can see that as well. But as we start going, let's get our fib retracement. So from the morning move down, let's watch what we're doing on the way back up here, and I'm gonna extend this just to see it a little bit better. So as we're coming out of where I got long down here, so I had right on the gap fill, I had an order waiting for my final right at 151, which matched up really well with that QQQ 414 level, and I was starting to trim here. And as we come to these fib levels in the 21 EMA, also the outer VWAP band, I'm going to go ahead and take second trims up in this area. And once I've got that, I have a risk-free runner, and I'm just holding one contract. We make it all the way back up here to the 50% retrace. And then we come down, and on that rejection, we actually hold the EMA 9 perfectly, almost to the wick right here. So I actually, when I saw that, I was looking for a bounce here. I actually added back into my long to go ahead and trim it back out right here. So caught a nice little extra, let's see, how many points is that actually? I think I took it off probably right in here. So about 30 extra points on that NQ long that I added back in, trading around my core position. You guys hear me talk about that all the time. So I have a core position long. I've trimmed. I'm only down to 1 right here. Add 1 back in and take it back out here. And then I'm looking for the golden retrace next and this orb. So notice the golden retrace of today's move is also right with this orb. So I'm holding a runner here. And honestly, you could have easily taken full profit here, but until we really lose the EMAs or break trend, I'm just going to go ahead and let that runner, because I'm in from down here, risk free. I'm just going to kind of let the runner work for me. Now, you can see right here, we touched this, which is right at the 786 retracement level. I have the outer VWAP band right there as well. I keep this on all day. I'm toggling it off just so it doesn't get too busy for you guys' eyes. I'm trying to watch this. And then also look at the pivot point right there. So I just toggled that back on, but I have a pivot point right there. So honestly, a very good spot to take profit right here. But we did accept back into this orb. Ideally, you'd want it to hold. Since we did get slapped down so quickly, I'm still holding that one runner because I'm in from down here, right? If we don't hold this halfway retrace, I'm probably going to get out in this area, probably going to get out, take my full profit, but I still have the EMA 21 right here for confluence, as well as the halfway retrace. So you see right here, we rejected this halfway retrace, finally got into it and broke it here. So this resistance, I'm looking to become support, and that's exactly what happened. Now, if you took profit up in this area or even right here, you could look to re-long right here. For me, I had, like I said, risk-free, stress-free runner. I'm fine. I could have honestly probably added in here again, but since I'd already done it once, didn't want to put my foot on the gas too hard, so I just decided to hold my runner and continue to manage the trade. And right here, great confluence between the 21 EMA holding as well as the 0.5 retracement level and this previous support right here, or previous resistance turning to support right here. And then from there, we accept back into that orb. So that orb I was showing you, let me toggle off this drawing real fast. Here is the orb, and there's the high part, the low part. And so ideally you want to hold this, but since we had the support here, we had the 21 EMA I just showed you. Now when we break back into this, we've come back into the orb and breached it. I'm looking for us to test. High of day was actually also the orb up here, so I'm looking to try to test that as well. And you can see as we continued for the rest of the day, that was a full retracement. And then I'm basically from there on, I'm just looking at fib extensions to continue holding. Now, once we got up into this area, I'm up 200 points. For me, that is a fantastic trade. I'm going to take full profit. So I actually took full profit right here. I know some guys continued to hold the runner because there was really nothing telling you to get out until you started to lose some EMAs. So you could have captured almost 300 point move. I took my 200 points. I was very happy with that and packed it in. But one of the things that I do look at once we do get a big move is I'm looking at the total range that we've traveled, right? So let's turn all this back off and let's just look at something here. So from the low to where I took profit right in here around 200 points, we'll just draw it right there. That's a 200 point move. Now, in my head, and I've reviewed this several times, I'm going to go show you guys over on Edgeful a report that I use that really helps me with this. Let's go over to NQ and let's look at volume and range by weekday. So you can break this down by weekday, or you can just actually look at, if you prefer, you could look at just the just the overall average, or you can, like I said, break it down day by day here. So over the last year, let's just go back. That's a good range for me to look at. Over the last year, Monday is actually our lowest average range, and then you can see Thursday is actually our highest. So this report you can definitely use in a bunch of different scenarios. But knowing that our average range is 161, and on another report there's basically the average range intraday, and this is during the New York session is what I have this set to as well. So you can tell the average is around 200, but for Mondays it's even lower. It's usually 161. So if we get 161 to 200 point move, I don't want to put my foot on the gas. And there was really, you get up into this area, you don't really want to try to long. You've moved so far. We moved a total of 300 points, and then you can tell as we got down here. Here's our, let's see, where's our closing candles about right, and here we did revert back almost to the average. So look, 177 points. So our intraday range being so much higher than what we normally move. So knowing that we normally move from high to low, and there's just a nice breakdown down here, and of course a video that you can watch over on Edgeful to use that report, kind of help guide you through it a little bit. But the way I personally use it is I look at that 161 being our total range that we typically move, and that's from low to high. And when I see that we're up here at 300, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, we have a nice trend day going, but probability-wise, once again, mentioned probabilities earlier, that's how I trade. I'm thinking we're probably going to revert back to the mean anyway, so don't really want to touch any of this action. You probably could have got some nice short scalps in the afternoon. I know some guys in our group did, but I had such a nice trade in the morning, I decided to just leave it alone. But I did think, yeah, once we get up, 300 points here, we're probably going to revert back. And sure enough, right here at the close, look how close we are with, back within, 15 points or so of what our typical range is on Monday. I use this report all the time, so today was a great example of it. But anytime we've moved from high to low, around 200 points or more, even last Thursday, we could take a quick look. Actually, last Thursday, it was a very similar setup here. Let's see, last Thursday right here. So as I was showing you, Thursday, 215 is the average range there. So I use this report every single day, but we moved from here to here. Our opening candle was right back in this area. So we moved from low to high, 194 points. We moved down to the low. So I just told you 212-ish was the total that we typically move on a Thursday. So once again, you see 215 actually. So you see 215 points. So we've extended that. Now look, we fully retraced this move, but I'm not going to put my foot on the gas here. If I was in a trade, and I was in a trade this day, but once again, I'm using the law of averages. I'm using probabilities, and notice once we moved that range, 200 plus points or so, which even on Thursdays being the highest range, there's basically 214 right there, and look where we finish out the day. We stay within, we respected that range. So another way that I use that report just for context of where I'm at in my trading, right? So if we've made a big move like this intraday, I'm not expecting it to continue going. If it does, if it's a trend day, sometimes you do get those big outsized moves, the 300-point moves and stuff. But on a typical day, and for me, I'm playing the law of averages. I'm playing those probabilities. I'm going to look for that revert back to mean. So you could possibly start to look for a short up here. Now you'll notice the pivot points that we talked about earlier, right there at our high of day. Also, that fib retracement. Look at the fib retracement, the 1.618, right there around high of day as well. So a couple layers of confluence if you did want to get short up in this area. And then you can see we come back down, bounce, accept back in. And let's look at that orb once again. Look if I turn this orb back on. Look where we came down and bounced and held. So that orb strategy, I really like it. And the fact that it just marks these levels is beautiful. So a couple really nice reports that I use over there on Edgeful. Reminder, they do have the videos to go with them. Also, if you look at these indicators, there's multiple indicators right here that they have as part of their program, and the strategies and reports to go with it. So I really like this platform with Edgeful and the indicators that they have on TradingView. But yeah, beautiful day, very nice. One trade, stress free. But that's a quick look into basically how I approach the day, how I put the data with my trades, and the strategy that I use to trade it, to try to maximize on the profit within those, And like I said, try to make the best decisions possible, not just based on gut feeling, not based on well, I think this is going to happen. I try to put data behind that so I get as much of an edge in the market as I can. All right, guys. Well, that's it for this video. Hopefully, I'll be making some more here in the near future. In the meantime, I will catch you guys for the next one.